This is an issue that the Chinese, not only the Chinese government, but the Chinese people have been unfairly treated. So this is an issue that has aroused strong sentiment among the Chinese public. This is an issue that the Canadian side, we hope the Canadian government should really seriously take care of in order to pave the way for smooth cooperation between our two countries. Of course, you know that in recent 2 years, there are still connections through diplomatic channel between our two governments at various levels, and also for the joint, for the common interests of our two peoples, and even maybe for people at large, we also carried out some cooperation, connection between our two countries. But this is an issue, I have to say that, this is an issue that we have to, that could could bring about more opportunity costs for the Canadian government and for our bilateral relationship in general. Because without that, as I told you, there are a lot of areas, there are a lot of opportunities, potentials that we could explore more, but with this, we don't have the right circumstances to explore further. Do you know how many bilateral extradition treaty the United States government have with other governments? More than a lot. 111. Do you know how many governments the US government has requested to extradite Madame Meng Wanzhou before the Canadian government? More than dozens of. So you know that actually we heard the public remarks by some politicians or statesmen in the Canadian government to say that because you are obliged or legally obliged by this bilateral treaty with the US government. But there are some questions. At least there are 3 questions. I believe the Canadian government is supposed to tell the truth to the Canadian government. First question. When the Canadian government decided to detain the innocent Chinese citizen Meng Wanzhou, what specific articles of the Canadian legal system Madame Meng has violated? Even up to today, almost 2 years after she was detained, we didn't get an answer, whether publicly from the Canadian side or through bilateral channels. Second, as I told you, the US side had bilateral treaty with 111 governments, and they did make a request to dozens of other governments to detain Meng Wanzhou. But none of them followed this ridiculous idea until when Madame Meng entered Canada. So why the Canadian government became the only one? And third, you know that although we don't think it's a kind of judicial issue, we still believe it's a kind of political incident, but we respect the wish of Madame Meng herself and the Huawei to go through the legal procedure in Canada. And then when they come to this specific section of the abuse of procedure, they requested, the attorney team of Madame Meng requested to disclose some necessary documents, but then that was refused by the Canadian government and by the federal court. So I think, why? So I think the Canadian government has to draw a whole picture, a clear picture, and to describe the story in its entirety to the Canadian public instead of just misleading. Yeah. So those are the 3 basic questions I hope the Canadian government could answer. Including some of the countries, of course, they know that, because they know that, the Americans know that Meng Wanzhou did travel to other countries with, including American allies, including those countries that the US side has bilateral treaty. That's what I told you, that actually it's for the Canadian side actually to tell the whole picture to the Canadian public. First, I have to say that I don't agree that China has turned our back to the long friendship to the Canadian people. I don't know whether you're aware, last year when we celebrated the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic, for the first time in our history, actually we awarded some foreigners with the Friendship Award. Only 6 for the first time. And among the 6, not only those friends we are very familiar with, but including a Canadian citizen. I don't know whether you were a little bit surprised, because some of my friends actually told me that because at that time, everybody knows that because of the Meng Wanzhou issue, actually our bilateral relationship was at such low level. And through that, when you saw President Xi actually awarded the Canadian citizen of that very rare award. So you could see that Chinese people, Chinese government never turn our back to the Canadian people. So I couldn't agree with that. But of course, I have to say that we still cherish the traditional friendship between China and Canada. Today, you might be also aware that today we mark the 75th anniversary of the victory of anti-fascist. And if you look back to that time, we also had good cooperation. We enjoyed the support from Canada. In China, when people talk about Canada, most of the people could remember Dr. Bassoon. So that's still in our memory. No problem for that. But I still have to say that the current administration or the current cabinet in Canada, by making the mistake on the Meng Wanzhou issue, actually did something very, very wrong and ruined the right or the necessary atmosphere that needs for further cooperation that could better benefit our two peoples.